Hello everyone, it's me again. Today I'm going to talk about one of the most expensive fragrances in my collection. And the fragrance I'm talking about is Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino EDP. This bottle that I'm holding in my hand is around £405 in the UK right now. And when I bought this bottle 2 years ago, it was around £500. You heard me right, £500 for a fragrance bottle. I know it's super expensive, but I had to put the price in the beginning of this video shamelessly, just so you understand how important this fragrance is and why I actually bought this fragrance. Anyway, before I start to talk about this fragrance, I think it will be good to talk about the man himself, Tom Ford, and how this company actually came into existence and how this fragrance came into existence. So let's just dive into the history of Tom Ford and the company, and then we'll talk about the fragrance. Tom Ford is one of the most influential fashion designer of this time. He actually started his journey as an actor and then he moved into men's fashion. In 1994, Tom Ford was the creative director of Gucci and he was responsible for their entire product lineup, their store design and even their marketing. And that's a huge responsibility to lead a global fashion design brand. In year 2000, following the acquisition of Yves Saint Laurent, or YSL as we call it, Tom Ford actually became the creative director of both Gucci and YSL at the same time. And that was a huge responsibility to run not just one but two global fashion brands. So in 2004, he started feeling a bit depressed. He even said in one of his interviews that he has accomplished a lot for different brands, but there is a lack of his personal vision and personality. So in 2004, he left the job as a creative director from Gucci and YSL, and he started his journey as a filmmaker. In 2005, he started working on his first feature film called A Single Man. In that feature film, he actually worked as a director, producer, and even co-writer. He even said that if someone wants to know about him or his inner feelings, then just go and watch the film. Tom Ford actually said that this film is a monologue of his personal inner true self. It's also worth mentioning that this film is a piece of art. And this film got nominated for Academy Awards, Golden Globes, just to name a few. There is a really interesting scene in this film where the lead is feeling depressed and he wakes up in the morning, but he gets up, he takes shower, gets dressed up, wear a suit and a tie, not to go anywhere, but just to feel good. This scene is very important. It's a powerful scene. This actually portrays the true personality of Tom Ford. And it's true for me as well. I sometimes get up in the morning and I feel depressed. And the only cure I find in this kind of situation is just to dress up properly. As soon as I dress up properly, I feel confident, I feel nice. And that's the beauty. And that's the reason why Tom Ford actually started his brand in 2005. Tom Ford is all about boosting the inner confidence. And that idea of a confidence booster is the true key of Tom Ford's fragrances and his entire line of clothes. This fragrance, in simple words, is summer in a bottle. And this fragrance was created by the senior perfumer Rodrigo flores-roux. He's a Mexican perfumer with more than 100 fragrances under his name. And he's the guy responsible for the entire John Valvetto's fragrance line. He created this fragrance in 2011 along with other Tom Ford fragrances as well. Now, as you can see, this is a very nice, elegant, rich looking fragrance bottle. Now, this is a 250 ml decanter bottle. So there is no sprayer on this one. But whenever you buy a 250 ml decanter from Tom Ford, you get a complimentary atomizer with this as well. Now you might be wondering, if there is no sprayer, how do we fill the fragrance from this decanter bottle to the atomizer? And I'll show you the process. The process is tricky to fill the sprayer, but I use a funnel as I don't like wasting even a single drop of this juice. But I'll give a thumbs up to Tom Ford for the presentation of the decanter bottle and the sprayer. They are very high quality, and it has to be for this huge price. I'll tell you a story why the hell I actually bought this really expensive fragrance. I was coming back from Paris with my wife, and at Heathrow I smelled this fragrance. I sprayed it on my t-shirt and on my hand as well. And I instantly fell in love with that fragrance. But I didn't pay too much attention to this fragrance because first thing, it's a very expensive fragrance, and second, it smelled exactly like 4711. And 4711 lasts around 30 minutes on my skin. So I was not paying too much attention to a fragrance which is so expensive, and I knew that kind of note have a tendency of not lasting that long. So I thought this fragrance will still, given the price tag of this fragrance, I thought it will last like 2-3 hours and that's it. But next day morning, I actually smelled my t-shirt and I could smell fresh Neroli even after 24 hours. And I was amazed with the quality. I thought, this is something different. This is 4711 on steroid. And it's not possible to get a fresh fragrance that lasts that long. Long story short, my wife actually bought the EDT version of this fragrance, Neroli Portofino Aqua, which is a fresher version of the same fragrance, but we'll talk about that fragrance in some other video. And soon after receiving the EDT version of this fragrance, I actually went ahead and bought the EDP version of the same dense, rich juice. Neroli Portofino, in true sense, captured the beauty of the clean running water. This is a cool, fresh breeze of running water. If I have to make you imagine or understand this fragrance in words, I would say close your eyes and imagine you are sitting under an orange tree. The tree is full of ripe and raw oranges both. It's full of green leaves. There are so many white neroli flowers on this tree. And you are sitting next to a river of clean running water. The water is so clean you can see the sand and the rocks and the pebbles underneath the clean water. And there are so many orange trees around where you are sitting, and there are some jasmine trees as well, and there are so many lemon trees as well. And in distance you can see a farm of lavender across the river. And now you are sitting on a wooden log, a mature wooden log which has a musky smell to it. Now imagine the wind is blowing, and with that smooth breeze of air that you are getting, you're getting all the fragrances mixed with oranges, ripe oranges, raw oranges, neroli flowers, a lot of lemons around you. And as a cool breeze, you are getting some jasmine, and from across the river, you are getting the fresh lavender fragrance mixed with the cool river breeze as well. If you can imagine what I just said, this is what this fragrance means. And this is exactly what this fragrance smells like. I'm not going to mention all the notes of this fragrance because Tom Ford don't believe in the structure of top, middle and base note like all the other traditional fragrances. Of course, there are all these top, middle and base notes, but if you can imagine what I just said, then this is what you will get. This fragrance lasts a long time. On my skin, this fragrance lasts more than 8 hours. On clothes, however, it will last more than 24 hours. So this is a really good fragrance in terms of longevity. In terms of projection, this fragrance is really good as well. It will fill the room if you wear this fragrance and walk into a room. You will definitely get noticed if you're wearing this fragrance. Now, neroli flower and the note of neroli have a tendency of reacting differently with different skin type. On my skin, I get bitter orange for some time. On your skin, you might get rustic metallic orange. Or worst case, you will not smell any oranges at all. And that's the beauty of neroli, or you can say a downside of neroli as well. It reacts differently with different skin type. So on a safer side, I would recommend spraying some on your clothes as well as on your skin as well. Now this is a clean juice, so it won't leave stain on your clothes. The reason I'm saying you should spray it on your clothes, because on clothes, the progression of note will happen gradually, and the progression will happen in a normalized way of fragrance. Even though it will mix with your skin because you are applying it on your skin as well, even though whatever kind of fragrance you get mixed with your skin, your clothes will even project the similar kind of fragrance throughout the day. So it's always safe to spray some on your clothes as well. So in short, this fragrance smells awesome, have a really good longevity. The projection is really good as well. The note progression of this fragrance is really good as well. Now we are coming back to the main factor, the price of this fragrance. As I begin this video by saying this is a really expensive fragrance, this bottle is currently £405 in the UK, and it's even expensive in different countries. For example, I checked the price of this fragrance in India on Amazon, and I found that a 50 ml bottle of this fragrance cost almost 32,000 rupees in India. That's expensive, that's super expensive. Imagine if 50 ml is 32,000 rupees, this is 250 ml. That's freaking expensive. Now the big question is it worth the price? And my answer is no. I'll be very honest with you guys. This is not a fragrance worth £405 or £500 that I paid for this fragrance. The reason I'm saying this fragrance is not worth the price that I paid for this is because there are so many other fragrances in market which smells almost like this fragrance, have decent longevity and projection as well, and cost 10 to 15 times cheaper than this one. So why would you go out and spend £500 on this fragrance? Of course, if you love this fragrance, by all means, go out and buy this fragrance. Now, before I finish this video, I have to tell you guys an interesting story. Rodrigo, the creator of this fragrance, did an interview and he said that he used to buy 4711 in his younger age. 4711 is a 290-year-old perfume that smells almost identical to this fragrance. And he had the same complaint that I have with 4711 is that that fragrance doesn't last too long. On my skin, that lasts almost 30 minutes. And when he became a perfumer, he had that vision to create a fragrance on the same accord of 4711, but to give it more longevity and more richness. And that's why he created a fragrance for his personal use and he named it Freshy. So Freshy is a fragrance that Rodrigo created for his own personal use. And years after, when Tom Ford actually contacted Rodrigo to work on his private blend fragrance collection, and Rodrigo then showed his personal fragrance, Freshy, to Tom Ford, and Tom Ford actually loved that fragrance. And immediately Tom Ford actually bought that fragrance from Rodrigo, asked him to modify the scent a bit, and that's where this fragrance came into existence. So this fragrance was not exclusively made for Tom Ford, and this was not called Neroli Portofino. This fragrance was a personal creation of Rodrigo based on the scent of 4711. Now that's an interesting story and I had to share it with you guys because this is a story of the origin of Neroli Portofino, a fragrance that I love so much. Anyway, this was a long talk. Before you get bored of this phase, let me end this video here. Until the time you see me again, keep smelling fresh.